wanted to be a team, and be that kind of leading scorer for a team, and he's just not that. And as unfortunate as it may be, that's just not who he is. But now that he's
he even the second guy?
I don't think so. But if you can put him in with the 76ers team and tell him, hey, go sit in the corner and knock down threes.
Be the fifth guy.
Yeah, and if he can accept that, I think that's a huge move for the 76ers because they need some shooting, and I really like the shooting that Buddy Hield brings to the table.
Should I ask the question I asked you off air?
Please.
Well, first of all, you got a great Seattle Kraken sweater on.
Thank you.
Not your David Roddy jersey that I know you have.
Yes.
Johnny, where's your David Roddy jersey?
I don't have
no
one.
Huh.
Don't have
Didn't
one?
own one.
I did not either.
Interesting. Right? What y'all not Roddy? Big body Roddy guys?
Big body Roddy's.
No.
No.
I wasn't.
No.
Huh. Interesting.
So I should ask that question?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask it. I want it at 901-360-8255 as well. Bust or not? Was he a bust?
Yeah, we talked about it before the show. I don't think he was a bust.
I don't either.
I think it's in terms of if you're just talking about him as Grizzly, I think you could probably...
It just didn't work out.
It didn't work out. And I think there's some people that could say, yeah, he was a bust in Grizzlies. He's certainly still way too young in terms of career to talk about bust.
And can you be a bust in the 20s?
No.
Bust is in the lottery.
Right.
I say bust top 5 or 6.
And I still say...
Yeah, I agree with that.
I still say that he was drafted too early. I think... if he was the guy the Grizzlies wanted and didn't want to, waste any time trying to get him.
He wasn't drafted ahead of Jake LaRavia.
No.
You can make a case he was a bust.
Yeah, no.
But if you can be a bust in the 20s.
Exactly.
Can't have it both ways,
So I think both those guys were drafted way too early.
Talk radio. You can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you
You
want.
really can, Brett.
But, those guys were drafted back-to-back. So, I almost say they were drafted at the same exact time. Because
I think between them was Walker Kessler, wasn't he?
Or was Walker Kessler right after? Because I thought
May have been. It was in that group.
I think all the trades, because I think what ended up happening is whoever drafted, traded, whatever happened. But I think,
and that's who I really preferred that night.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not good. I'm not going to do that to this front office, just as I wouldn't to any front office about anything in the 20s. Even if you took Tony Roten, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And you know what? Most of those picks don't work. If you go to that draft class 2 years ago of those people in the 20s, unless you just really want to cherry pick and find games played, points scored, and go, but how do you know that 41st player, were you going to take him over those players? Probably not. Then you're getting really selective, and I don't think it's fair to a lot of the sidewalk GMs that want to do that to people.
Let's see. It was a couple off on where they're picked. They're basically picked back-to-back. 3 picks in between them. 2 picks in between them.
Okay.
Let's see. Because I see what I got wrong is they traded Grizzlies and Sixers traded right back-to-back for the Walker Kessler and David Roddy, and then Walker Kessler got shipped to Minnesota and then got shipped to Utah. He was everywhere. He wore like 6 hats.
He was everywhere.
Night.
He was everywhere in one night.
He was. So let's see. Jake LaRavia was drafted 19th and traded to the Grizzlies.
That high.
Hard to believe. Malachi Branham was picked 20th. Christian Brown, 21st. Walker Kessler, 22nd. David Roddy, 23rd. Marjon Beauchamp, 24th. Blake Wesley, 25.
There's not any of those guys go, if we'd have got him. So I don't think this front office deserves to be crushed for that. It just didn't work, and it might have worked with everything content in Ja world.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I heard,
and I'm not blaming him for them, but if he's out there conducting it, and Steven Adams is healthy. And you're depending on David Roddy and his big old body just to be that 7.5, 8 and a half guy.
Yeah.
Might have looked a lot different.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of people really liked David Roddy last year and liked what he brought to the table. And then, this year it's much different. I heard, John this morning talking to one of his guests, and they were talking about, this was obviously before the trade deadline that, closed at 2 o'clock our time. So this was before, and he was asking his guest, Grizzlies, do they make any more trades? Are they active at the deadline anymore? And the guest said, well, I think David Roddy is a name that you could see gone. You could see, maybe do they try to move Zaire? What do they do? And John said something about Zaire about, well, when he plays with Ja, he's
Ja covers
fine.
up a lot.
But when he's not with Ja, you kind of see what he is. And, so it's so much different.
And this is not a blame Ja day.
No, absolutely not. It's just so different. I was watching one of the games the other night, and it seemed like every time the Grizzlies were coming down the court, David Roddy was taking a shot. And that's just kind of what the Grizzlies have to have
being
right
dependent
now.
on.
Yeah, and he had to take those shots.
Kind of scary run offense through his big old body.
It sure is. But that trade that you mentioned with David Roddy, 3-team trade that took place earlier today. The Suns receive Royce O'Neal from the Nets and David Roddy from the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies get Yuta Watanabe. So if you had the Yuta Watanabe jerseys, pull those back
in business.
You're back in business.
Long and winding road for Yuta Watanabe.
I was about to say very funny for Yuta Watanabe because he has played for all 3 teams that are making this trade. He was with the Nets, then signed with the Suns.
He is
after the Grizzlies.
In the middle of every deal.
Now he's back with the Grizzlies. And then
the modern day Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, honestly. And so, and then the Nets, that 3rd team in there, they get 3. I should also say the Grizzlies are getting a future pick swap.
Now, Patrick Beverly didn't end up with the Grizzlies, did he?
No. Patrick Beverly, a tale oldest time of a new team. I mean, it seems like he's always on a new team.
He's been with everybody in the last 2 years.
It seems like it. And,
7th, when he goes to the scorers table or in the scorers book, 7th different team in his career.
Crazy. That is unbelievable.
I think, what did we establish? 8 or 9 is playing for everybody?
Yeah. So he is well on his way for playing for everybody.
Close.
It's an interesting trade involving Patrick Beverly going to Milwaukee. I don't know how much he fits that, if he does.
Energy guy?
I guess so. I mean,
wild, crazy guy?
Backup point guard, come in, give some minutes while Dame's on the bench. I don't know. It's a trade, that's for sure. It was a busy trade deadline, though. Nothing like we saw last year with the massive names.
But none of it was main course.
No. And that's kind of what we got last year with Kyrie wants to leave, KD wants to leave, this guy's being moved.
If you were at your favorite buffet place, this was not the first big pan of hot food they brought out.
No. It was a bunch of little trades that turned out to be. I think I heard it was actually Keith Smith. Keith Smith was on the front office show. They did a live stream earlier today, and I tuned into it once I was done with John's show, and I think this was after
Keith Smith
2 o'clock.
slept?
No, I'm worried about Keith Smith. We're going to have to ask him how he's doing when he joins us because this is the busiest day, I'm sure, for him. But I think he counted all of them up. This was like right after 2 o'clock. It's like 18 trades today and yesterday, I think. So, I mean, it's been a lot of trades, just not a lot of star power being moved.
And the last few deals for the Grizzlies are just setting up for a busy time before the roster gets settled for the 24-25 season.
Yeah, and we talked about it yesterday, and DeMichael Cole mentioned it when he joined us. The past couple of times he's joined us about what the Grizzlies really, really need is you have the stars that you're going to rely on. Ja, Desmond, Jaren. You've got those guys locked up. They're on those big deals. If you're going to pay those guys, you can't be paying everybody, and you're going to have to make some moves, free up some roster spaces.
Get some satellite players.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what they're doing right now. And it seems like, trying to make some space. I know a lot of people, it seems now even more since we're now a day since the Xavier Tillman trade. A lot of people think that maybe they could do something here with that open roster spot and maybe GG put Trey Jemison on a 2-way and try to figure something out there. So it's going to be interesting to see. I did see driving in today that it's official. Victor Oladipo has been waived, or it's official that they're going to waive Victor Oladipo. The Grizzlies are. So
didn't have time to buy a jersey.
No. Couldn't get over to the FedEx Forum quick enough to get a Victor Oladipo jersey. But that's another opening with Victor Oladipo not going to be around.
You mentioned the big three, and just nobody would argue that. Who's fourth?
That's a good question. That is a really, really good question. I would think ideally it would be Marcus Smart, but you just haven't seen enough of him because he's been so injured. But I think that's ideally who would be the fourth.
I think so too. But I don't have any information that they would or wouldn't do this, but I would listen to any deals around him this year.
Sure.
He didn't appear real happy early. I'm sure a little stunned of, I left a team that probably going to be in the NBA Finals or at least the conference finals.
Sure, certainly.
And I'm here. And when he got here, I'm here in the middle of the Ja storm.
Yeah.
Then the Steve Adams storm, and then Ja storm part 2, the injury that he couldn't help.
Sure. He's dealing with his own injuries.
Man, if you can get me in a deal, let me out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
But you got to get something. You're not going to give him away.
No, you're not just going to give him away.
He could fetch something.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, he's a guy that everyone was very excited bringing in. And then, you heard some of those people coming out saying maybe we need to go ahead and move off of Marcus Smart. So, that's certainly a name to keep an eye on in the offseason. Maybe we see a move there.
His big moment was blowing up at his team early.
That's right.
It was.
That was the moment of the year.
Yeah,
it was.
that we, it was on social media. People were taking videos of it and posting it on social media, and that's how we learned about that. But no, I mean, I think for the Grizzlies, I think these moves were good moves to make. I think, you could definitely see after this deadline, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter over the last hour of some Laker fans are, how do we not make any moves? Some Laker fans are, I'm okay that we didn't make any moves. I saw some, I think Nets fans that were upset about the moves they made. But I think for the Grizzlies, I think you could easily see the direction they wanted to go in at this trade deadline, what they were trying to get accomplished. And I would say with what they've gotten back, I think they certainly accomplished what they were trying to get done.
If I'm a Laker fan after the success of last year of all the moves, I would have been a little irritated too.
Yeah.
Why not work that magic in? But it's not that easy.
Yeah, you
not
can't
even for them.
No, and you can't just do that over again every single.
There was the brief shining moment today that John Conchar was looking like he was going to be dealt.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, kind of, where the Grizzlies were standing is there were a lot of guys available for the Grizzlies. And
all right, so Smart 4th, Kennard 5th?
Yeah. And with, depending on, obviously, availability, I'd say Kennard easily slides into that number 4.
Conchar could be 6th. Could he? No, healthy Brandon Clark.
Yeah, healthy Brandon Clark. Easy to forget about Brandon Clark with how injured he has been, and I'm curious.
Unhealthy Brandon Clark ahead of Conchar.
Yes, certainly. And I think, that's going to be something to keep an eye on now with the trade deadline behind us. I know the early...
Vince Williams is ahead of all them, too.
Vince Williams is ahead of certainly John Conchar. Yeah. But no, I mean, I think that's going to be the thing now to watch is Brandon Clark. I know the kind of latest we heard was that around All-Star break, he would be coming back. But now with the way this team is going, do they want to try to slow down that rehab process and maybe give him the rest of this year and say, hey, look, let's just make sure you're 100% healthy, make sure you're ready, good to go for the start of next season when everybody's healthy, because there's really nothing to play for right now, and you don't want to risk another injury or something bad to happen bringing him back late in the season.
Yeah, but the deals are done.
Yep, they're done. They're behind us. I'm really excited. Like I mentioned, Keith Smith, he'll join us at 4 o'clock. And a lot to talk about today. Busy day for him. So we'll be talking about all these trades and what the Grizzlies did. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Pat Smith from Jocks down in Birmingham will join us, talk some college football and college basketball. A lot to get to.
And the new media sensation.
Exactly. And that's certainly what we have to start with, what we talked a lot about yesterday. Nick Saban joining ESPN.
Pat had
also
a very
game
provocative
day.
tweet that mentioned this almost happened several years ago.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And that's when Pat was working very closely with Paul Feinbaum and the Paul Feinbaum Show that is owned by ESPN.
Absolutely. So it'll be fun to talk to Pat. Also a big game, basketball game in Alabama last night between the University of Alabama and Auburn. So we'll talk a lot about that with Pat at 3:30. 3:45, Tigers in action tonight in Philadelphia against Temple. I saw our friend Jason Munns, who we'll talk to tomorrow. He posted a picture on Twitter of him eating one of those Philly cheesesteaks. So he's already getting after it before the game tonight. We'll also have to get to another Tiger bankroll. Tigers, I think, 6.5 point favorite?
6.5 point favorite. The Tigers have not been underdogs since December 10th at Texas A&M.
That's a long time ago. Feels like forever ago at this point, but we'll talk a lot of Tigers at the end of this hour. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show will join us to talk the NBA trade deadline, everything that went down over these last couple of days, and what the Grizzlies did around the deadline. 4:30, we'll talk Super Bowl. It's hard to believe, but we're only a couple days away from the big games. We'll talk a lot of everything happening in Las Vegas. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us, talk more Tigers with the game tonight. 6 o'clock, tip against Temple. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. At 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together, and get over there for the floor model sale. All floor model patio sets are priced to move. Wicker sofa set under $2,000. Closeout patio cushions as low as $25. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating under $2,000. And 4-person hot tubs now under $5,000. Infrared and traditional steam saunas are 25% off. Get ready for summer now and purchase your above-ground pool to get first in line for installation. That's special financing. Don't forget about it. It's still available. So head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Johnny Hill's our producer. Bryant and Brett with you until 6 o'clock. You can join us at 901-360-8255. We'd love to hear from you about the Grizzlies deals. I think it's all leading up to next year, but I don't think David Roddy is a bust. But if you do, let us know at 901-360-8255. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. The one and only Lexus dealership in town. Give them a call at 901-334-9673. But stop by at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style, driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day is the NBA trade deadline, and specifically what the Memphis Grizzlies did ahead of it. We didn't really know going into last week, a couple weeks ago, what direction this front office would go in. I mean, you look at this roster and all the injuries, it's hard to think that they could make a ton of moves. It'd be hard to believe that they would, really want to go out there and make a ton of moves when you're playing 3 two-way guys and 3 10-day contract guys. And but they were very, very active. And talking to DeMichael Cole a couple of times, he said that they had this plan in place and that he thought that they would execute it. Started last Friday when they traded Steven Adams down to Houston to get Victor Oladipo and a couple second-round picks. Then we talked a lot yesterday about Xavier Tillman being traded to Boston for a couple more second-round picks, and now today David Roddy being traded in a 3-team trade. He'll end up with the Suns, and in return, Yuta Watanabe in a future pick swap. I think Yuta Watanabe is a guy that they might keep around, a guy that really shined last year with the Nets.
Probably would have liked to have kept years ago.
Honestly, Brett, you're absolutely right, and so we'll see what he can do now. And for the time being, whenever he does in the next couple days join this Grizzlies team, we'll have a huge opportunity to make an impact immediately with what this team is.
He's going to get his shots.
I mean, he's going to be getting the David Roddy role, and put up as many shots as you want, but I do really like what the Grizzlies did before the trade deadline and creating some flexibility with this roster. And now they can go into the offseason, have a lot to play with. Now they've got a lot of second-round picks that they can work. If they want to make a trade, want to go out and get somebody, want to go out and do something before next season, they can do that. They can go out and make some more signings to fill this roster. So I like what they did. I would call it a success.
Tonight, my top story tonight in Philly, Tigers and Temple. Tigers net 79, Temple's net 248. Even with a win, it could drop.
Yeah.
What if it was a loss?
Plummet.
Did you ever think in the preseason, November, December, 2 weeks ago when the Tigers were ranked 10th, that a Thursday night in Philadelphia at Temple would be this important? But it is. Temple at the bottom of the league, playing against the Tigers now in the middle of the league.
Yeah.
And we're playing for a lot. The streak is ended. Can a win streak really start to get put together now versus the AAC last place team? Tigers now favored for the 19th time this year. With a win, it'll be a 2-game winning streak, and it'll set up a chance on Sunday to really get something going against Tulane, and then all will be pretty much okay. Not well, but okay, and certainly not terrible. A loss tonight, it's terrible, and no need to even look at NCAA tournament at large bid status. It'll be win it in Fort Worth, or you're not going.
Yep.
Not top story of the day.
Well, I'm going to stick right there with my not top story of the day. Tigers in action tonight in Philadelphia, 6 p.m. tip-off on ESPN2. Brett, can you name for me the head coach at Temple basketball?
I cannot.
Adam Fisher.
I cannot.
Can't tell you anything about him. I don't know anything about him. I was shocked when I was looking at Temple's KenPom and saw
John Chaney's not walking through that door.
Let's see. He was a Penn State assistant before getting the job.
You know what did Temple basketball in?
What's
leaving the A-10 to chase the football money.
No, you're right about that. You are absolutely right.
They didn't recognize who they are.
Yep. No. And I think they would have been a perfect A-10 school.
Sure would be.
They would have fit right
Fran
in.
Dunphy not at Temple?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. A lot of change at Temple.
I was surprised to see the Tigers' lead in this series is only 14-11 all time.
Is it really? Wow. Well, a couple of those games, yeah, John Chaney, Fran even got them a lot. I mean, there were some good battles when Temple had a lot of success. But you look at their last win, January 7th over Wichita State. Their win before that, Sunday, December 24th against Portland. Brett, do you know the time they won before that? So they had a win on January 7th, December 24th. Before that, when's the last time they won?
November 28th.
Oh, wow, December 10th. Almost as long. I mean, this team has really struggled.
I watched them play Sunday.
Up. They're just not a very good team. This should be a game. We saw that last 7 minutes for the Tigers on Sunday where they looked like a much better team. They were playing better together. They were playing
Temple's
harder.
last 4 minutes was pretty good Sunday.
Well, let's hope that it's not very good tonight. But I think this could be a great opportunity for the Tigers. You can't lose to Temple, and hopefully they can take advantage of it, go on the road to Philadelphia, dominate, and get some of that confidence back. And maybe we could start talking about a win streak here for the Tigers.
And then Ron Hunter here Sunday.
Oh, man, I don't even want to start thinking about
winners
Sunday.
of 3 straight regular season games. Got the season sweep, last year and already won at Tulane. But the Tigers did whip them pretty good in the tournament last year. My not top story, Grizzlies at FedEx Forum tonight for the first of the last 18 home games. 17 more after tonight. Long season, isn't it?
Yep.
It got real long early,
Sure
too, this
did.
year. Support's been really strong. Should be the rest of this month. Next week on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday have games before the All-Star break. Bulls in town tonight. The Bulls are hanging in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. They're, I think, 9th right now in the East. So, I think good crowd tonight.
Sure.
LeBron 2 more times here, or LeBron, he's only 2 times here this year. Could get sparse in those April games.
It really could. I mean, you said it yesterday when we were talking. I mean, Brett, we got 2 more months of this. You know, it's fun now.
NBA season's always long, and at any time in it, it's a lot of basketball left.
Those April games.
Yeah.
It could be very,
with some different lineups for opposing teams and for the Grizzlies. Because there's been a lot of times the last 3 weeks that I would text somebody, can you believe this fivesome's on the floor?
Yeah.
Never dreaming that in any run of the year that would be the players out there.
That would be your starters for the rest of the season. It's hard to believe. It really is. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and grab our first break of the day. When we come back, we're heading down to Birmingham to talk to Pat Smith from Jocks.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 27 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. Like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick. Mango Habanero, sweet taste of mango followed by the heat. Or sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. And that's just 3 of the amazing 27 chicken wing seasonings that you can get at the Crazy Coop in Bartlett at 7199 Stage Road. And now open the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Some like it hot. How about the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or Crazy Suicide? Can't take the heat? Get the 4-cheese roasted garlic or barbecue bacon bourbon. Ask about the $9.99 lunch special. Now those are some crazy good prices. The Crazy Coop, 2 locations, 7199 Highway 64 between Appleton and Kirby Whitten, and 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Family owned and operated, The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon, T-Dot. One of those help trucks was moving some debris a few minutes ago on 40 westbound over near Austin P. Highway there in Jackson, as it builds already in certain sections of 240, especially eastbound from Mill Branch, all the way out to Bill Morris Parkway. Still looks good south of Memphis on the interstate there, 55 southbound down through DeSoto County. A 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. They're online. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and we're working to get Pat Smith on the phone, having some trouble connecting with him, but we'll try to get him on shortly because, I mean, a lot to talk about with Pat between Nick Saban yesterday, Auburn with the big win last night. Oh, man, we knew it was going to be good, and it 100% lived up to it. I mean, it was unbelievable. And now I think the question mark is who is this Alabama team? Because I think at times, and obviously
it's the Nate Oates teams we've come to know.
Yeah, and I never want to discredit.
Can you really trust them?
Right, and I never want to discredit a road loss because it is just so hard to play on the road in college basketball. But I feel like at some times we watch this Alabama team and they look really good, and at other times we watch this Alabama team and they don't look as great. And so, it's just kind of life in the SEC right now.
It is, and the Nate Oates teams that scare you are the teams that he may or may not say it, but he has that look on his face of, well, if we make shots, we're fine.
Yeah.
What if you don't?
And that's the question. And last night a really back and forth game, and 99-81, and just kind of like you said, the shooting
was really never close.
It wasn't at all. And the shooting is what got Alabama. They did shoot 34% from three, but took 26 shots from three. I mean, it was incredible, and just could not get anything going from the 3-point line. On the other side, I thought Auburn played really, really well. John Broome is just an unbelievable player. 24 and 7 last night with 2 assists, 2 steals, and 5 blocks down low. I mean, he's just been playing really well, and you get 26 points from Jalen Williams as well. So I mean, this Auburn team's really finding their own. I think right now, I would say, best team right now in the SEC.
Close to it.
I mean, they
are Tennessee.
Them and Tennessee are right there with each other. They've both been playing really well.
I think right now I would trust Auburn to advance in my bracket further than Alabama.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'm with you on that one. So
Alabama's busted up a bunch of brackets the last few years.
Sure, and I like this team, but we'll have to see what they can do. We got Pat Smith now with us. Pat, thanks so much for joining us. Excited to talk with you, and we got to start. We got the news yesterday afternoon while we were on air, talked about it a lot, but it looks like Nick Saban will be joining ESPN, and the thing that everyone was talking about yesterday, he's going to be a part of Game Day next season. What did you make of this news? I know you are obviously closer to that program and closer in seeing a different side of Nick Saban than kind of us here in Memphis or other people across the country see. We just see them on a sideline. What do you think people will see out of Nick Saban and kind of this different spot for him, being kind of on the broadcast, on the desk instead of on the sidelines?
Well, it's interesting because, first off, good afternoon, guys. Always a pleasure to be on with y'all. We actually did a poll question on our show today, and needless to say, about 85% of those that polled and gave us their answers said that he's going to be great.
Yeah.
Now, the only question that I throw out there is that will he be able to take off that coach speak hat and actually be critical when he needs to be critical in regards to a coaching move, or maybe a player didn't do what he was supposed to do,
or maybe there's of Alabama.
Exactly. Is he going to be able to do that? I personally think he will be, but that will be kind of the interesting aspect to all of this. I want to take you guys back, though, 10 years, because, Brett, I don't even know if I've told you this story privately, and I can talk about it now.
No, I saw your tweet, and I can't wait to hear it.
So basically, back in 2013, Paul Feinbaum and myself, we were about to leave local radio and go to work for ESPN. Well, the gentleman that represented me and Paul was Nick Khan. Well, Nick Khan is currently the president of WWE. Mm-hmm. During that same time frame, he represented Nick Saban in his television ventures. Of course, we all know that Sexton represents him when it comes to his actual football contract, but he had another representative that handled all of his media stuff. Well, Nick Khan happened to be that guy. So Nick Khan was coming to Birmingham to literally sit down with me and Paul. We were finalizing our contract with ESPN, and so Paul and I were to pick him up at the airport, and then Nick told us, hey, I need you to take me to Tuscaloosa. And really, we didn't put two and two together. But as we were in the car, and Brett, you know the geography around Birmingham, we got to about Bessemer, which is about 10 miles to the west of Birmingham on the way to Tuscaloosa. He said, oh, by the way, the reason why we're going to Tuscaloosa is because I'm sitting down with Nick Saban and we need to keep this in the car, but he is considering retiring and he's going to go full bore into TV.
Wow.
Now, this was after the kick six, and I was in the car like, what? Oh my gosh, this is like the biggest story that is about to break across the world, that Nick Saban is stepping down after 3 national championships at Alabama. He's going to go do TV. And so we literally drove him down to Tuscaloosa, dropped him off to go meet with Saban. He stayed the night and then came back to Birmingham and flew back out the next day. But Paul and I dropped him off, came back to Birmingham, and literally, guys, we had to go the next few weeks not knowing whether Nick Saban was going to be the head coach at Alabama. As we were heading to the SEC network and ESPN, we're like going, oh my gosh, this is going to be the biggest story in the world that we've got to deal with immediately. But we literally had to keep that under our hats. And then obviously he stays at Alabama, wins 3 more national championships. And it wasn't until last year when John Talty wrote a book about the secret of Nick Saban leadership, in which in a chapter in the book, he actually told the story about us. So somebody had given him that information, because it wasn't me or it wasn't Paul. And then I finally was able to talk about it, Brett, for the first time, just like I am with you and your listeners.
You never told me.
That's exactly what happened. So wow. I had the inside track. And so when this came up yesterday, that was my tweet. I was like, well, not a surprise, because 10 years ago, after the kick six, he was ready to do it. So that's the true story, fellas.
He was really feeling frisky in those years. I scoffed at it, made fun of them, and ended up being right. He didn't leave for Texas. But I've been told since it was really close, 2012, of going to Texas.
Yes, listen, there was a lot. For those that are in my market or follow Alabama football, there was an article written in the Wall Street Journal back, and I think right after Alabama had beaten Notre Dame for the national championship, and that was the back-to-back title. And then you had some people in Alabama basically kind of looking at the situation in Tuscaloosa. They were taking a lot of things for granted. And of all people, Terry Saban gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal, and one of the last pieces in that article, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but she basically said that folks don't, they just don't look at what we do and kind of take it for granted, basically, in a nutshell. And so that kind of like raised a lot of people's eyebrows. And then when the Texas rumors started coming around, you're like going, okay, well, there's a little bit more to it there. But I can tell you, being around some people and obviously knowing some agents and people like that, there was absolutely the potential of him going to Texas, and he ended up staying at Alabama, and the rest is history.
It is history. All right, this deal now, he's going to be at SEC Media Days this summer. He's going to do draft work for them coming up here in the spring. That'll be the kind of the first assignment. Pat, for him on a weekend, and when I say this, I don't mean any at all, nowhere close to any threat for him being harmed, but he will, when he goes into town for a game day, he will need somebody, security. I'm not talking about Secret Service or a threat on his life at all, but he'll need somebody kind of just to shoo somebody away after they've, maybe even a complimentary. He's got to keep moving. I think he'll need a body person. I think he'll probably need maybe a researcher type. He will need people with him. Is he ready for that? Is he ready to roll into Athens on a Thursday night, early Friday morning, and have that phalanx around him that he's going to need?
I tell you what, I mean, it's going to be a new situation. Granted, when he's been on game day before, they've had local security and things of that nature, but I got a feeling that it's going to be similar to what you see Kirk Herbstreit and other people that's high profile that's on that show. The other question that I have, because I do know a few people in the business that went to certain schools, and there are, as we all know, that coaches are paranoid. And there are still to this day certain people at programs in the SEC, if they know that a certain broadcaster might be coming on campus, they may not be 100% okay with giving them full access to let's say, the practice facilities or being able to hear certain things. Not saying that they would kind of be distrustful and do something unethical by sharing information to your old school or your alma mater or whatever the case may be. But coaches are paranoid. That's the reason why you don't have media people watching practice anymore. So, I mean, listen, he's got an office at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and I got a great story to tell you all about that in a second. But he's got an office there, and to my knowledge, he's still going to be drawing some form of paycheck from the University of Alabama. I mean, is Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, or Brent Venables, are they going to give him full access to those facilities?
Brian Kelly?
That's a good point.
Exactly. I mean, those are just questions that I'm sure will all be worked out in due time. But those are type things that obviously some interesting newspaper people will probably ask those questions as we move forward. On the stadium thing, we found out today, we had Rodney Orr on our show from Tider Insider, and I had not heard this, but Brett, you will not be shocked. So as soon as he announced he was retiring, Alabama had decided that, okay, we're going to provide you an office at Bryant-Denny Stadium away from the football office building. They are building him, or I think they have already done it, an exact replica down to the inch of what his office was in the football building.
To scale. I thought you were going to say to scale like the Oval Office.
No, it is absolutely identical to what he had. Now, I'm not sure. I've asked some people if he's still going to have, because, he had this remote control steel doors. Yep, and he would hit that button.
That meant leave.
And man, when those doors would shut, man, you thought that you were at Fort Knox, and it just got the door shut on you.
But if you were on the schedule for 10 minutes and it got to the 10:05 mark and he hit that foot pedal, that meant leave.
It is just like the Queen when she rang her little bell. It was time for the Prime Minister to leave. That's exactly the way it was in Tuscaloosa.
That's incredible. Well, Pat, before we let you go, I do want to ask you real quick about the game last night between Auburn and Alabama on the hardwood. Auburn gets the win 99-81, looking really impressive in conference play, especially how they started conference play. On the other side, Alabama got them earlier this season, but dropped one last night. What do you make of these two teams as we are about to enter February? I guess we're already into February.
Well, I tell you what, last night it was kind of a wake-up call. Alabama had been on a roll after the Tennessee loss, but I think what Auburn showed last night, that Auburn, for the second game in a row against Alabama, did not shoot well from behind the three-point arc, but their inside presence was able to shut Alabama down. Alabama's got a problem, guys. Mm-hmm. When they move forward now, they can't play a half-court game. Yeah, they can run. They can be like Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell. They can be like Loyola Marymount. Yeah, they can do all that. But when you get into a game in which you've got to run that half-court offense, I think Auburn proved last night that Alabama's got a major problem inside. Yeah. And I think if you're an SEC team, you just found their Achilles and how you can attack Alabama. That's easier said than done because, when Alabama, with their pace of play, and they put up 83 shots last weekend against Mississippi State, when you put up that type of numbers, you can afford to shoot 35, 36% because obviously you're getting enough opportunities. But Auburn is very impressive, guys. It's very tough to win in Neville Arena to begin with, but Bruce Pearl, he's got 9 or 10 guys deep on that roster. That is going to be a very tough team to knock out of the tournament. I think Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, throw in South Carolina. I think this is going to be a 9-team bid league this year. It's very, very deep. It's going to be exciting.
How many in the Final Four, if any?
Well, Brett, normally you get all those teams in there, but we have a hard time getting there for some reason. I would say if we can get one, that'd be great.
I think one would be great. Real quick, Pat, tell me, longtime athletics department employee, very, very much on TV on game day, Cedric Burns. Will he stay with the new head coach, Coach DeBoer?
What I have been told as of this moment, yes, that Good. He is around that program. He's had relatives that's worked at the university. He's been obviously a long-standing, very vital individual with this football program. First time I ever met him, Brett, believe it or not, was when he brought Mike Price up to our studio. That was a very short tenure for Mike Price, but Cedric has been around that long.
He has been. Good. I'm glad he's staying. I would say Cedric's 66, 67.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And wasn't Billy Varner a relative of his? Coach Bryant.
I believe you are correct. Yes.
Driver and attaché.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff, Pat.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Pat.
Hey, thanks, guys. Take care.
You got.
Pat Smith from Jocks down in Birmingham joins us fairly regularly to talk everything going on down in the state of Alabama, especially with that news yesterday about Nick Saban. We had to get him on to talk about that.
What's going to happen the first time? Maybe not the first time, but if it got repeated, when they do just the bottom, lower third, Chiron, just the picks, never mind the big build-up pick if they're there, and he picks against Alabama.
It's a good question. And, I mean, with all the change
as if
coming.
Kalen DeBoer doesn't have enough pressure on him.
Yeah, and I mean, Brett, no, I mean, and this is not a shot at Kalen DeBoer or Alabama. Life after Nick Saban is tough. We saw how many players entered the transfer portal. We thought they were going to lose more games last year than they did. Kalen DeBoer is going to take some losses this year, and that's a good question. That's a really good question.
And you got the biggest figure in the history of college football
on every Saturday morning,
lording over
games. And because it's Alabama, they're going to be picked every week.
We've seen it sadly happen with Greg McElroy.
Yeah.
Just with critical analysis, a lot of the fans, but Twitter's not real world, I know that, but a lot of the Twitter world, they despise him. Alabama people.
Yeah.
He won them their first national championship since '92 at quarterback.
Yeah, and it would be different with Nick Saban. But
for how long?
I would think when you have a statue there, hopefully.
And then if he goes to Knoxville and he picks Bama over Tennessee, that's not going to be met with just tepid, oh, booed, heck with you.
If I was Nick Saban,
they're going to remember 1-16 against him.
100%. But if I'm Nick Saban, I would have a bit every week on game day where I would make them throw up the Auburn game, and I'd pick against Auburn every time. I mean, that's what I would do if I was Nick Saban. Let the rivalry continue even into retirement. I think that would be a great play for him. But we're late for a break, so let's go ahead and grab that. When we come back, we'll talk about the Tigers game tonight against Temple. We'll also have to make our picks for Tiger Bankroll. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hey, Tiger fans, join University of Memphis women's basketball on Saturday, February the 10th for 901 Women Day when the Tigers take on the Tulane Green Wave at 2 o'clock at the El Marone Fieldhouse. Join us in celebrating National Girls and Women in Sports Day with tickets for only $2. And be sure to stick around for the post-game youth clinic. Be there, be loud, and go Tigers go.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
We all appreciate luxury. We love the newest technology. We want something that sparkles and looks great. Well, I've got it all in one place. It's called Genesis of Olive Branch, right at the corner of Highway 78. That's Lamar. And the first exit in Mississippi, that's Craft Road. Turn left and you will see Genesis of Olive Branch. And right now, you can get the 2024 Genesis GV70 starting at $49,480 with special financing as low as 3.49% on select models. How about the 2024 Genesis GV80? A little bit bigger, starting at $55,995, financing as low as 5.49% with a $2,000 rebate when trading a luxury brand. Call them. They'll even bring you a Genesis at your work or your home for a test drive. They're convinced that when you drive a Genesis, you're going to want one. Call 662-890-6684. Ask for Vinny. Genesis of Olive Branch.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
All right, well, the Tigers are back in action tonight. Let's see if we can string some wins together.
Who's that Temple coach again?
Adam Fisher.
Adam
Fisher, head coach at Temple.
Johnny, we got to remember this tomorrow. We're going to have Bryant to bail us out, don't we?
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm not doing any memorizing. I'm looking at a computer screen that says his name. But no, going to be an interesting game. Temple does not shoot the ball particularly well from 2 or 3.
What do they do well?
Let's see. Not much. A lot of red on my screen. So, no, it should be a game that I think the Tigers should take advantage of. Hopefully we can get more of what we saw that last 7 minutes against Wichita State, and maybe they can come back here on Sunday, and get some revenge against Tulane.
Again, only 4 times all year the Tigers have not been favored. Yeah. They're 3-1 as a dog.
We should make them an underdog for every game.
Really should. Lord. Tonight, 6.5 over Temple. Bryant, you're at $730, 9-13 picking the Tigers this year. How much and who?
Let's see. I'm going to go $130 on the Tigers tonight on the road.
You.
How about that?
130 on Memphis.
130?
Give it to me.
Very good. Johnny Hill, you are 11-11. 755 for the year.
I say 75 for the Tigers.
75 for the Mets. So it's up to me to be the group lock guy. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Block.
There will not be one. Oh. I'm up 14-25 for the year, playing small ball.
You are playing
trying
small
to run out the clock.
You are.
I'm in victory formation, Johnny. The best words in football. You know
he
that.
He ready to take a knee.
Temple plus the 6.5, $15.
Isn't that what we set the minimum as? $15?
I think it is the minimum.
It is.
Should we raise minimums?
No. It's
any rule change to Tiger bankroll has to be a 3-0 unanimous vote.
That's right. It has to go through you. You know.
No. It just has to be unanimous.
That's like
if there's any dissent. None of the bylaws changed, Johnny. Did you know we had bylaws?
I didn't know. I'm finding this out right now.
Johnny, get ready. I mean, there's no bylaws. Wait till golf picks roll around.
Oh, I'm looking forward.
Things will be changing on the fly.
I'm going to be a golf guy, man.
Golf picks are going to blow your mind, Johnny. Because we changed a lot of the bylaws on the fly.
And that
really?
And that rascal that joins us.
John going. He likes to throw it in there.
He does. But no, this should be an interesting game. I'm curious to see, because Brett, I've said this, we've talked about it before, but you talk about the Tigers struggling these last 2 games. They've been home games, and this one is on the road, and we've seen the Tigers struggle on the road.
I got to have trust rebuilt.
Yeah, and that's exactly
I'm sorry.
That's what Jason Munz told us, last week when he, in his write-up, had Memphis losing.
I think the Tigers win tonight, but why wouldn't you think, it might be 7 and y'all get there and I lose.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. So it's going to be interesting to see what the
I hope
team
it's
looks
by
like.
17.
Yeah.
I hope the Tigers win by 17.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And have something to start building on.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I know a lot of people talking about rotations. What will the rotations look like? That's been a point of discussion over these last couple of games. So we'll see in a couple of hours at 6 o'clock when we've got the tip-off in Philadelphia. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're talking NBA with Keith Smith.
admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Join the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts for an evening with Cal Ripken Jr. February 22nd and celebrate a true champion. Ironman Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,632 consecutive games for the Baltimore Orioles. This 19-time All-Star, 2-time American League MVP, and Baseball Hall of Fame inductee is a true baseball icon. Get tickets at HeindelCenter.org to see Cal Ripken Jr. 7:30 p.m. Thursday, February 22nd at the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts on the campus of Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901.